Man, what is happening, my YouTube family? Of course, it is your boy B New. I'm coming at you on this Monday. And first and foremost, as always, want to send out positive vibrations and blessings to anybody who could be listening. Now, with all that being said, we all know that the Los Angeles Lakers were back in action on yesterday on the fifth game of their five-game homestand, taking on none other than the Chicago Bulls. And of course, by now we know that the Los Angeles Lakers did not prevail, ultimately falling to the Bulls 118 to 108. And we got a whole lot that we have to talk about that developed during the course of that game. But the biggest story going into the game, of course, was that of LeBron James making his return after being off for a month and getting back to action. And of course, coming off the bench, which I don't know if it was necessarily the greatest idea or who idea it was, whether it was LeBron James or Darvin Ham. But I guess LeBron didn't want to mess up the chemistry that the Lakers had already developed and had been developing without him. And of course, as you all know, the haters were so prevalent last night. And of course, this morning, a lot of them didn't even brush their teeth before they woke up out of bed, before they got out and started posting on social media talking about LeBron James makes the Lakers worse because they lost one game in the game that he returned to. Obviously, they have no basketball IQ, nor did they watch the game. But we're going to break all that down in just a minute. But at the end of the day, it's not about that name on the back of your jersey. It's about that name on the front of your jersey for the Lake Show. And we have to hold everybody accountable. And if you really want to hold somebody accountable for the Lakers' loss, then I have to look no further than Darvin Ham for this particular game. Now, Darvin Ham is a rookie coach, and we know I've been, I sang his praises on some games and not so much on other games. But this game in particular, I have to lay this blame at the foot of Darvin Ham yet again, making some serious mistakes. I don't know where to start. Why don't you put down in the comments, what do you think Darvin Ham's biggest mistakes was on yesterday? I say it has to be up there, but I got to go with not getting Anthony Davis out of the game late in the third quarter. Anthony Davis had already had 4 fouls, and it was 2 or 3 minutes left. And on the same play, he was able to take LeBron James out of the game, who was not in foul trouble, but left Anthony Davis in the game, knowing that he had 4 fouls, which I'm assuming he put Gabriel over at the scores table, thinking, okay, I get a couple more plays out of Anthony Davis. Just be careful. But of course, play kept going on. There was no stoppage in the action whatsoever. At some point, I don't even know why. You have one to give in the final 2 minutes, or I don't think the Lakers were even in the penalty. Have somebody else foul somebody to stop play and allow for Anthony Davis to get out of the game. But you continue to allow him to play, and ultimately he picked up his 5th foul. And to be honest, I think it's a play that you could have challenged. He never challenged, never used a challenge throughout the course of the game. And on that particular play, there was an oop being thrown. I don't know if it was to Drummond. I can't quite remember who the oop was being thrown to, but Anthony Davis was going up in front of them to try to break up the oop, and it was minimum contact, if any. And the thing about it is, you have to understand the definition of a loose ball foul and or a shooting foul, because at this particular situation, the player didn't have control of the ball. You have a right for that ball just as much as anyone else. If the ball is loose, I don't care if it's being passed to another teammate in a oop or just in a passing lane or what. So the minimum contact that was there and the late whistle by the ref would have made me at least challenge it. Even if you lose the challenge, it's all good, because at the end of the day, it's worth it if you could have had Anthony Davis only have 4 fouls. But they never challenged it. And of course, by leaving him in the game, picking up that 5th foul, you knew going into the 4th quarter he wasn't going to come in until the latter stages of the 4th quarter, which I still think he brought him in too late. If you're going to foul, then it is what it is. You just got to bring him out there. But that was played crucial because, of course, the Lakers found themselves down again, fighting in the hole to get back into the game. And, of course, now you have Anthony Davis in foul trouble. Is going to make it that much more difficult for you in order to come back. And not only that, Darvin Ham did not play Rui Hachimura at all. How in the world do you not play Rui Hachimura, who's been playing great, even though his minutes have been down since the trade of, bringing in Vanderbilt, Beasley and company? But How do you give him 0 minutes, a DMP, just because last game Lonnie Walker had a good game? It was the reason why Lonnie Walker was getting the DMPs. And of course, people could say, well, if Lonnie Walker would have lit it up like he did the other night and hit a lot of threes, they would have won. Then you wouldn't be saying that. Well, that's all fair and good. But at the end of the day, you have to know your pecking order and you have to know matchups. So it's no knock against Lonnie Walker if he would have got a DMP for this particular game. But the point that I'm trying to make is at certain times during the game, you had Dennis Schroeder sitting up here guarding Levine. You had Dennis Schroeder up here guarding DeRozan. You had mismatches in the switch because you did not have the size, but you got the size sitting right over there on the bench and him wondering, why is he not in the game? Now you want to affect this young man's confidence. He had been shooting great from three. His mid-range has been going. I'm not saying he's the best defender, but by him having a longer wingspan, a bigger body, somebody who can contend with, probably more so, can contend with a Zach LaVine and not let him get easy runs at the rim. But of course, they did not do it. Of course, Ham sat up there and let Hachimura get 0 minutes for the game, which ultimately I think was a bad move. And of course, not only that, when you have Rui Hachimura sitting on the bench, you bring in Lonnie Walker just because Lonnie Walker had a good game last game. Does that mean you have to play him again automatically? Because it's not about feelings. You know, it's facts over feelings. That's what I always say. It's facts over feelings. And you have to go with what you know to be fact. And the fact is that Rui Hachimura is a larger wing defender, and he is capable of knocking down threes, and he's capable of creating his own shot. I'm not saying push Lonnie Walker all the way to the back. And, of course, I know a lot of haters and everybody out there is going to say, see, now that you have LeBron James, it's disrupted the offense. It's done this and done that. But if you look at LeBron James, he was a +4 overall. Anthony Davis was a +7, and Dennis Schroeder was a +13. So when you're talking about the big three as of now, when you talk about Dennis Schroeder, since D'Angelo Russell was still nursing that sore hip, you were hoping hopefully he could come back. Now, if D'Angelo Russell's in that game, you bring some more three-point shooting and some more firepower, and then you may have a chance to win that game. But ultimately, there was no D'Lo, and you had to depend on Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder had 17 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. He was only 4 out of 10. He was 2 from 6 from 3, but he was a +13. And, of course, he was playing great defense as usual, but you cannot expect him to guard a bigger guard like a Zach LaVine. It's just not something that he should have to be asked to do, especially when you have Rui Hachimura sitting right over on the bench. So, to me, that is the most mind-boggling decision that Darvin Ham has made. Then you got to look at Vando constantly getting minutes. Vando, who was a -27 yesterday. Vando, who has made some of the easiest shots look difficult right at the rim. I don't know. Not the best with his hands catching the ball around the rim either. But, you know, for the people out there talking about LeBron James is the cause for this loss, LeBron James probably, even after a month hiatus, probably played the best out of everybody for the Lakers, you know, minus a Troy Brown. Troy Brown, who actually had a pretty good game himself and was a +3. Troy Brown had 18 points, 6 rebounds, and an assist, shot 7 out of 13, 54%. What more can you ask from a Troy Brown? But you look at LeBron James, only 29 minutes, 19 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 55%. I mean, 7 out of 8 from the free throw line. That was spectacular. He must have been shooting in practice his free throws a lot because he couldn't put a lot of stress on that foot. But at the end of the day, LeBron did have 5 turnovers. A couple of them was charges that maybe should have went his way that didn't. So, you know, you could say 3 turnovers as far as being careless with the ball. 2 of them where he tried to force the action that really wasn't there. 1 because he was caught in the air and he didn't have anywhere to go with the ball, which happens at times. And to me, that's not that bad after having such a long layoff, especially considering 2 of those were charges where it was a bang-bang play and could have went either way. So at the end of the day, you cannot hang this loss on that of LeBron James. He didn't slow down the offense. Basically, Anthony Davis, yet again, only had, 8 field goal attempts, had less field goal attempts than damn near everybody on the team. Anthony Davis has to get himself more involved, but give it to Anthony Davis. He was making the right play. When they were coming and doubling him down on the block, he was swinging it, and they making the extra pass. The Lakers just were not finishing with the three-point shot. It just wasn't their day. Malik Beasley started hitting threes, but it was way too late at the end. That's the second time he's done that. Malik Beasley, make your threes when they matter. Make them at the beginning of the game and not the end of the game when the game is out of reach. Wayne and Gabriel was a minus 19. Lonnie Walker, he was a minus 9, so you have to look at this. Out of all the people who were positive, it was LeBron, Schroeder, AD, and Troy Brown, which I think that's a good unit that you can have. And it may be time to say Vanderbilt does not need to be in that starting lineup because you can easily put Wayne in there, and Wayne can play beside AD and get you the same thing. And we've seen them win games like that together. And maybe you can move LeBron over to the 3 and they could play Wayne and LeBron interchangeably. But at the end of the day, Austin Reeves, past couple of games, he did not play as effective as he had once he was going on that streak, but I noticed he wasn't getting a lot of the calls he was getting before. He wasn't getting the swing through calls. He wasn't getting the charges that he was trying to pick up. They was calling fouls on him instead. So, you got to play through that. You're not going to always get the same calls from the same group of refs as you get from the other. But at the end of the day, what really made and broke the Lakers was the turnovers and the points off turnovers, because the Lakers just gave up way too many points off turnovers. 34 points off turnovers, when you get points off turnovers, leading usually the fast break and easy points for the other team in transition. And not only that, it could just be you turned it over, they came down here and scored. You had a wasted opportunity because you turned the ball over. The fast break points was 15-5. And that's not acceptable because we know that the Lakers are one of the best fast break teams in the league. And now LeBron James is going to be getting his legs under him. And I would imagine that when they play the Bulls again on Wednesday night at Chicago, that AD is going to show out just a little bit more because he's from the Chi. And I also know that LeBron James is going to be probably back in the starting lineup, which would do the Lakers better. And who knows, maybe they make Austin Reeves come off the bench and run with that second unit and see if they can get Malik Beasley going early on with LeBron James giving him open looks. But that is something to still be determined. But you have to have minutes for Rui Hachimura. I think that was one of the main reasons you went out and got him. You need somebody with size to guard the other defender. And then Vanderbilt, who probably could have guarded Levine a little bit more than what he did. I don't understand that. And then at one point, Darvin Ham had a lineup there. This is another big mistake Darvin Ham made. He didn't stagger AD and LeBron at all times. He had times where he had no LeBron and no AD. And that's when Chicago really went on that big run, is when they had the lineup out there of Reeves, Lonnie Walker, Beasley, Vando, and Gabriel. And that's when the Bulls went on a big run right then. I don't know why you don't have at least a LeBron James or Anthony Davis in the game at all times. And he's done that even throughout the course of the season before the trade when they still had the other squad. So, that's something Darvin Ham needs to watch film and get better at. But like I said, he's a rookie head coach. At the end of the day, the Lakers still have a chance, I think, to get that 6th spot. It's going to be a little harder for them. If they hadn't gave up the Dallas game by 1, they would have a better chance. And then if they could have won last night, they would have had a lot better chance. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And if the Lakers could just get 7th, 8th, then they'll be fine. They only have to play one game to solidify either that 7th or 8th spot. I would actually hope for them to get the 8th spot and play Denver in the first round, and then get the 7th spot and have to play Memphis. It would be nice to get that 6th spot, but I just don't see Golden State. I don't know. Maybe Golden State falls. They lost last night to Minnesota. That's not the same team. Golden State could have easily finished out the game, but Draymond Green threw the ball away in the waning moments of the game. And, of course, Karl Anthony Towns comes up with the big 3 and wins the game. And, of course, that's who the Lakers may need to worry about, and everybody else is the Minnesota Timberwolves, because that addition of Mike Conley has been looking great. They've been finishing games and playing excellent as of late. Now Mike Conley, is an excellent point guard, and of course he's going to continue to have them playing great. And then Anthony Edwards is back. Rudy Gobert is back. Karl Anthony Towns is back. I think this is what Minnesota envisioned. So they can move up in the standings too. But one team that is in the 5th seed is the Clippers. And the Clippers got Chicago tonight. And Chicago can come out and do what they did to the Lakers on yesterday. I think they can do it even on the second night of a back-to-back, because without Paul George, I can just see the Clippers continuing to fall. If you look at the Clippers schedule, they have the Bulls, then they have at the Grizzlies, then at the Pelicans, then home against the Lakers, and the Suns with probably Kevin Durant. So I think the Clippers will be the ones slipping. Maybe Timberwolves and Golden State get that 5th and 6th, and the Lakers get the 7th. Maybe the Lakers can still get the 7th, but the Lakers are going to have to go ahead and beat the Bulls. Then it's going to be a big game against the Timberwolves Friday. We're going to see how that comes up Friday night at 7 o'clock Central, because that's going to be a very big game, and I expect the Lakers to come out playing hard. Hopefully D'Angelo Russell could come out and play against his former team, and he'll be feeling a lot better. The Lakers should easily be able to take care of the Rockets, even though they did lose to the Rockets, but that was minus AD and LeBron. Then they got the Jazz, who kind of fell out of contention. The Mavericks have kind of fell out of contention. And, of course, the game against the Clippers and the Suns. So it depends on what the Suns are playing for at the end. If they've already solidified their position in the standings, maybe they sit their starters going into the playoffs. Who knows? Because you don't want to get them injured. Maybe they sit a Chris Paul and a Durant. Like, why get them injured in the last game of a meaningless season? But we'll see what it all comes down to. It's going to be quite interesting. And one thing I did want to point out was that of Pat Bev doing a gesture to LeBron James, saying that he was too small. I found that to be hilarious. Pat Bev, who scored his 5,000 point on last week, who is 35,000 points behind LeBron James, to do that like you really did something. You could be mad that the Lakers did you that, but don't try to show up LeBron James, especially after all LeBron James has done for you, got you on squads. When you was in Miami and you got cut, who still made sure, even when you was gone out of the league, who was always mentoring you and doing things for you. But, of course, I'm sure it's all in fun. LeBron James don't take it personal. But hopefully LeBron James can come back and get a monster dunk on Pat Bear the way he did Terry back in the day, Jason Terry. So you'll just never know. But we shall see at the end of the day. They still cool with Pat. Just like in pre-camp when they asked Pat Bear what's his favorite play, he said his block on LeBron. You know, LeBron laughed at it. It ain't a big deal to LeBron. That's not going to make or break him. You could try to demean this man or belittle him or whatever you want to do. But at the end of the day, LeBron James is still who he is, and we all know where he stands as far as the all-time greats of the NBA. So we got a couple of days off. We got a lot more to talk about. Some crucial games tonight. I want to say tonight, the Bulls and the Clippers will be a crucial game. Phoenix at Utah. Hopefully Phoenix can go ahead and knock Utah out. Minnesota at Sacramento. I'm going to be hoping for Sacramento victory. That way Minnesota can fall back down to earth, and then the Lakers can beat them, and then they can be tied up, and then we can have a final push, because that Minnesota schedule isn't the easiest schedule either. Minnesota got the Kings, then they at the Suns, then they got the Lakers, the Blazers, depending on how well they play, but then the Pelicans at the end of the season, depending how much they're fighting for. I think the Nets and the Spurs should be easy games for them to win, but we shall see. But at the end of the day, man, it's just your boy B New. As always, I'm saying right on to the real, and much love to these haters. I'm out.